Hello friends, my name's Real Emile, and welcome back to some more Reach the Peak, the show where you guys recommend the cars, and then I take them up our hill climb course to see which one can come out on top. Today I have 5 vehicles for you here as usual, but one is particularly special. You see, this, as you're seeing on the screen right now, is the new official car of Reach the Peak. Finally, I do have a cover car. Thank you very much to Racer X NFS for this livery. I will leave a thing for his gamer tag somewhere on the screen, and you can go and download this livery for yourself. It is a very swagging livery. It's available for the Volvo V60 Polestar, and there is a version for it on the S60. Now, of course, we can't have an official Reach the Peak car without first finding out how well it does on our course. So, without further ado, it's time for the 2015 Volvo V60 Polestar, 346 horsepower, 368 foot-pound of torque, 3,985 pounds of weight. It is an A-class car, 788 when equipped with the snow tyres. It is the most powerful vehicle here today. It is also the heaviest vehicle here today. Unsurprisingly, it is of course a all-wheel drive wagon. So the V60 Polestar, I reviewed this car a little while back, and I really liked the way this thing drives. I love the way it looks as well. The the modern day Volvos are really very good looking cars, and the V60 is certainly no exception. I think I prefer this to the S60 now. At first I wasn't too sure, but I think now I'm definitely sold more on the V60 Polestar compared to the S60. Anyways, how does it drive? Well, it's excellent. It, honest to God, is excellent. I cannot find fault in the V60. I think this is one of the first cars I've ever driven where I genuinely can't find fault with any aspect to this vehicle. It has excellent traction, it's got really good grip, it doesn't slide, has got an ickle bit of understeer maybe if you're pushing it, but honestly it isn't that bad at all. It's just superb for this sort of course. Of course, you can level the accusation that it's a little bit boring, maybe? But even still, I wouldn't do that because it just drives perfectly in my opinion. It is a really very solid vehicle, and I do highly recommend tuning up a V60, stick the snow tyres on it and just give it a cruise around, see what you think of it. If you want a car to just cruise around on Blizzard Mountain Inn without, really having to think about anything, you just want to chill out and relax, V60 is a very good choice for it, if not one of the best choices for it, just because nothing about the handling is really going to upset you. It is a phenomenal car, and I am very happy to announce it as the official car of Reach the Peak. So, yes, also, again, special thanks to Angel for delivery. Next up, we move on to the 1965 Shelby Daytona. This thing has 390 horsepower, 341 foot-pound of torque, 2,300 pounds of weight. It's an A-class car, 781 MPI when equipped with the snow tyres. It is the least torquey vehicle here today, it's the lightest vehicle, and it's the lowest in PI. So in this match of figures there, of course we had the Shelby Cobra go on not too long ago, and the Cobra, it tried to kill me a lot. That's what the Shelby Cobra does. Admittedly, the interesting fact about the Cobra Daytona dynamic is the Cobra is significantly lower in PI. The Daytona starts off as a low A-class car, the Cobra is a mid B-class car. However, when you equip snow tyres to them, the Cobra actually has higher PI, which is an interesting note to say. Of course, it is more powerful and does weigh a little bit less, I think, but that's still an interesting fact nonetheless. The Daytona, how does it handle? It's good. It is a good car to drive, this one. It's got good handling. It is quick. It's like modern day fast. It's a pretty crazy thing, especially considering, it's only got 390 horsepower. Granted, it's lightweight, but you would not expect it to be this quick in a straight line, but it is. It has got really long gears, but yeah, it is a very quick car. It can get bogged down a little bit. Once that rear end starts sliding, you can sort of start feeling those tyres dig into the ground. But, it isn't the worst thing in the world, and as far as I guess I wouldn't really call this a muscle car. But as far as they go, it's nowhere near as bad as any others. This is a much better handling car than, say, a Charger RT or a Daytona, or even the aforementioned Shelby Cobra. The Cobra is one of the worst driving cars I've ever had up here, but it was quick because it was fast. This is a lot more balanced than the Cobra. This is nothing really like the Cobra when it comes to a driving experience, so yeah. The Daytona, though, it is a cool car. I love the Shelby Daytona. It is probably my favourite of these sort of classic race cars. It's a really cool car, as it turns out. It is a very, very good driving car as well, which is always a good thing. I do like it when good cars are good. Next up, we move on to the 1992 Jaguar XJ220. This particular version is a Horizon Edition. 711 horsepower, 517 foot-pound of torque, 3,307 pounds of weight. It is an S2 class car, 917 PI, when equipped with the snow tyres, which is a very high starting PI. So of course we had the XJ220, the sort of stock version, go around a fair old while ago, and it did pretty decent. It's around where the retro supercars for the most part hang out, which is, you know, good. The XJ220 Horizon Edition essentially gives it a V12 swap. It goes, sort of solids out all the suspension and stuff, gives it full Forza aero, as you can see. And, you know, some of those things are good, some of them are bad. You know, the extra power is always nice, and, you know, the hardening of the springs, not so much. The key thing to note about the Horizon Edition XJ220 is it does not swap the drivetrain, which is kind of surprising for me. You know, admittedly, the original XJ220 was supposed to come with a V12 and all-wheel drive, so I'm kind of surprised they didn't all-wheel drive swap this one. But anyways, how does it drive? It's good. It is a little bit on the sensitive side, it has to be said. You know, if you sort of flick the stick at the wrong moment, you're going into a tree. Which isn't particularly good, but yeah, you know, it's okay. It is hard riding, there is no question about that. This thing definitely has the full sort of race suspension and all the rest of it, so yeah, it is not the best car for tackling this hill climb course. You know, there are better sort of cars to do it in, there's even better Horizon Editions to do it in, but, you know, on the scale of them, it isn't bad. I mean, it can carry a decent amount of corner speed through some of these corners. I just think if this vehicle was all-wheel drive, it really could be sort of shooting towards the top of our leaderboard, but as it stands at the moment, it's a good car. It's certainly one of the better rear-wheel drive cars, but is it phenomenal? Not really, unfortunately. Anyways, we move on to what at one time was the fastest car in the world, to another one time it was the fastest car in the world. This is the 1993 McLaren F1, 627 horsepower, 480 foot-pound of torque, 2,840 pounds of weight. It is an S1 class car, 896 in PI when equipped with the snow tyres. So, the F1 is of course down on power, down on torque, and, well, significantly down on weight to the XJ220. This is a very, very light car. You know, even by the standards of its day, it was excessively light. 2,840 pounds is pretty phenomenal, especially from, you know, a car with 627 horsepower, and yeah. The F1, I don't know, I like the F1, don't get me wrong. I don't love it as much as other people do. Some people, you know, really, really like the F1. It's like their favourite car in the world. I'm not one of those people. I love the McLaren F1, but gotta be honest, McLaren's never really done much for me. You know, sort of, I like McLarens. I think they're great cars, but they've just never really done much to me, but, you know, the F1 is cool. How does the F1 drive? It's decent. Interestingly enough, it understeers, which I wasn't expecting from the F1. Usually understeer up this course I don't really mention because it's usually quite negligible. But, yeah, this one was actually rather noticeably understeery, which is a little bit odd. I've driven the F1 on tarmac before, and this is a pretty good handling car, especially when you compare it to other fastest cars in the world like the Veyron and the XJ220. But yeah, it just understeered a bit. It has very long gears, which is my usual complaint when it comes to McLaren F1. This thing has horrendously long gears. But, you know, up here, long gears don't affect it so much as, say, racing around the circuit, but they are something that you do need to consider. But yeah, the F1, it's decent enough, it's cool, but I wouldn't drive it up here. There's plenty of sort of supercars which I would recommend you look more at, say like the EB110. And finally today we have an interesting one. This is the 2015 Coonans Egg 1-to-1, 1,341 horsepower, 1,010 foot-pound of torque, 2,998 pounds on weight. This is the highest PI car we've ever had in Reach the Peak. It is an X-Class car, 999 in PI, when equipped with its snow tyres. It is, of course, the most powerful car here today, because it's the most powerful car in the game from stock. It is the torquiest vehicle here today, unsurprisingly. And again, yeah, highest PI car we've ever had. So, the Coonans Egg 1-to-1. Now, usually the way I do this series is go into Rivals, and when I go into Rivals, I can, you know, select the car, and basically do it in a time trial mode. The Koenigsegg 1-to-1, I kind of got the fact that they don't have X-Class Rivals, which was a bit of an issue. So basically what I had to do for this was boot up a private online session, and essentially just get a friend in and get them to stay out the way while I did the run. So that's the way I did it with the 1-to-1. It shouldn't affect the time too much. I do admit the starting positions are slightly off, so, you know, maybe it affects the time by like point something of a second, but it won't affect it too much. The 1-to-1, as far as it goes, it's tricky. It doesn't like the bumps, but it is stupid fast. As soon as you get the traction going in this vehicle, you know, as soon as those wheels stop spinning, it flies. It will just catapult itself. It is a crazy machine to behold. It is a tricky car to drive. It is much trickier than the Koenigsegg Agera was. And for my money, I'd probably take the Agera as far as, you know, climbing up a snow climb course, which I wouldn't recommend in a Koenigsegg. But I would probably take the Agera, just because the Agera can handle it a little bit better. I did sort of brush the ice there, but again, that didn't really affect the time too much, I don't think. But yeah, the 1-to-1, it is a crazy, crazy contraption, as you'd expect. Anyways, on to the times for today, and it is the XJ220 Horizon Edition. That's the fastest car today, going into 21st with a 205.893. It's a little bit off a Lamborghini Gallardo Superleggera, and it beats a Bentley EXP10. In 25th place, we find the McLaren F1 with a 206.693. I love Reach to Peak because it's in between an Infiniti Q50 and a Mini Cooper Horizon Edition. I don't think a McLaren F1, that's not really where McLaren F1s usually go on a track leaderboard. Moving down the board some more, the 1-to-1 goes into 30th place with a 207.564. It is slightly quicker than the Koenigsegg Agera, although I'd still recommend the Agera over it, and it is fractionally off of a Bentley Bentayga. Again, a Koenigsegg 1-to-1 is beaten by a Bentley Bentayga. Welcome to this series, it is very weird. The Volvo V60 Polestar puts in a very good performance for itself, going into 48th with a 210.564. Misses out slightly on a Mercedes-Benz A45 AMG, but it is quicker than a McLaren P1. It's quicker than an Impreza WRX, which is about the finest all-wheel drive car I've ever driven up here, so yeah, the V60 is a god. And finally today, the Shelby Daytona goes in 75th place with a 216.103, beats Ford Falcon XR8, a little bit behind an E46 M3. Which is a pretty good time for a Daytona. It is 2 seconds quicker than the Shelby Cobra as well, which is worth noting. Anyways, friends, I want to thank you all very much for this, for watching. Of course, this episode was episode 35. Usually I do a special, but I didn't really have any ideas for it, so I've just sort of left it blank. And I guess it's special enough because we do have the official Reach to Peak car now. Again, special thank you to Angel Racer XSTI on Xbox. I will leave his gamer tag somewhere when showing this car off, because it is an incredible design, and I do recommend you go and grab it. Again, there is a version for the V60 and the S60. Anyways, friends, I want to thank you all very much for watching. My name's been the Real Emile, and until next time, a farewell.